Well, fair news, possibly bad news, a horrible game which leads to a great outcome. That pretty much sums up what happened since the last episode. My name's FM19, and this is the Ritornu Gloria with FC Bastia, episode 40. Well, the original plan was to come back for either the Brest or Troyes game. I want to say it was the Troyes game, but Troyes really fell off. And at the time, when I was looking at it, was getting close to the Red Star game and the Brest game, when I looked at Troyes, Nancy was actually a point behind us at the time. And I thought, I'm going to hold off, and I'm going to play Nancy, because there's playoff ramifications there. And as you can see, our form was okay. We finally lost, and of course, we lost to Sochaux. After 2 hours, we were away at Concarneau, and we won 2-0 thanks to a goal by Almeida and an own goal by Concarneau's player Mablo. We're then away at Amiens. We drew thanks to a Amiens own goal by Leroy Banda. We were then away at Sochaux, and they thumped us 3-0. It was just a horrible, horrible game all around. They are our bogey team, this save. We cannot beat them. 4 times we tried, 4 times we failed. And as much head coach turmoil as they've had, this is their 3rd head coach in 2 years that's beaten us. We still haven't been able to put one over them. We were then home against Reims, and we won 2-0 thanks to a Frank Diallo and Rafael Almeida goal. We were then away at Red Star, and we won 2-1 thanks to a Frank Diallo goal in the first minute and an Andres Sotavia goal in the last minute of the game. That won it for us. We were then home against Brest, and we drew. It was a very back-and-forth game, but it took a Giannis Hennon own goal. And he plays for Brest for us to claw the drawback. And then we were at Troyes, and we drew 1-1 thanks to an Antoine Bernet goal. We were then away at Ajaccio for the derby, and we had no business winning this game whatsoever. I can't explain it. Yes, we were ahead 2-0 thanks to goals by Polo and Tell. But this, Frank was out injured, so Tell got the start. Kamara got sent off for double yellow in the 74th minute. Armando got sent off in the 83rd minute for being double yellow within the space of 2 minutes. So we were a man down with 15 minutes left in the game. We were 2 men down with 7 minutes left in the game. Ajaccio could not come back. And they should have. They had 13 shots, 5 on target. We had 7 shots, 5 on target. Let me change this real quick. And now George has decided to eat, so I'm going to pause for a second. However, it was after this game that we got notification that we'd actually won a promotion out of League 2 into League 1. And that is because Nancy drew their last 2 games and couldn't make up any points on us. So we are definitely finishing at least second. Nancy or Lorient or Nancy or Reims can't catch up with us. We're 1 point behind Amiens. It's going to be right until the last week. I wanted to come back, at least at this point, to show you a couple of other things. I mean, it literally just happened. The not so good news. This is the 3rd year in a row this has happened. Gerard Axiotis, Gerard's takeover bid of Sporting Club Bastia should be progressing well. There's been an embargo announced. Of course, the season's about ready to end. The board praised my unbelievable promotion, and that's 4 promotions in 5 years. The initial budgets, they're not bad. $92,000 a week in payroll and a transfer budget of $10.73 million. I think we can do a lot with that. Let me rephrase that. If we can attract players to our squad, yes, we can do a lot with that. There's going to be some players leaving in the offseason. I think if I can replace them with younger players of equal quality who know we're going to be in a relegation fight and are okay with, I may just have to bite the bullet and not put in a relegation clause for if they get demoted. If we come back down, let me see. What was my payroll before? I know I was about 16,000 euros under it. I'd have to go back and check. Maybe it was 48 or 36. Because if I go there now, it's going to show what it is We're currently spending 63. So, assuming we go up and I spend close to the 90, if we come back down, let's assume I go back to the 63, I'd have to shed 30,000 in payroll. It's doable. I know I've got a decent amount of payroll coming off this summer. We'll check that out here at the end of the episode when I look at the spreadsheet. But we got Nancy and Strasbourg coming up. I was going to play Nancy today, but we're not. We're going to come back for Strasbourg, but I wanted to at least start the episode this way to let y'all know what was going on. And as usual, my plan was written in Jello on a hot Texas day, and it was about as good as Custer's plan. So, I don't know. We'll be back in a minute with the last game of the season away at Strasbourg. Well, we moved to the top of League 2 by beating Nancy 2-1, thanks to a goal by Ante Knezevic and another goal by Frank, who's had a really good season for us. That's not the news, though. The news is our takeover has been completed. Local investor Gerard Axiotis has successfully completed his takeover of Sporting Club Bastia. In a report by Footballs, no, it's got to be a German football magazine or a Dutch magazine with something like that. A newspaper. Oh, it's a newspaper. Oh, sorry. Ignorant American here. Keen to get stuck in his new role as possible. To restructure the existing debt into a long-term loan. We didn't have a ton of debt. And they finally lifted the transfer embargo. Thank goo. Oh, come on. Debts and loans. That's not what I wanted to click. Debts and loans. I'll have to double check, but I'm almost positive we were paying a little bit less than that for the 3 loans that we already had. I mean, they were incidental. They were maybe 16,000 euros a month, if not a little more. That seems odd to me. Frankly, that's something I haven't been keeping up on the spreadsheet. I can go back and load the end of last seasons and find out. So, thankfully, they've listed the transfer embargo. I'm not going to miss 3 weeks this time. So, we're going to forge on ahead. The last game of the season is coming up. It is against Strasbourg. They are currently, I'm looking right at them, in 8th. Amiens, who are Amiens playing? Amiens are playing Clermont. Ooh, Rodez Aveyron beat them. Like, last place Rodez Aveyron beat them. Oh, they did not take them seriously, and they paid for it. And they'll probably take it out on Clermont. And with our luck, we'll draw again. We set a team record for draws this season, 16. So if we do draw and Amiens draws with, or no, if we do draw and Amiens wins, they need at least 5 goals in their win in order to beat us on goal differential. So we're going to get ahead to the Strasbourg game, play that, and we'll be back in a sec. Last game of the season, playing Strasbourg, and it is our best 11 on the field. Adriani in goal, Sasha, Mabai, Almeida, and Brigado as the defensive back four, Soldevilla as the defensive midfielder behind Parent, Paulo Knezevic and Diallo as the attacking midfielders, and Frank up top as the striker. We need to bring up the current scores, too, somehow next time we're up to see how Amiens doing. Although I suppose I could bring that up here while we're... Oh, right there at the top. Amiens and Clermont. Good grief. Way to go, Jellico. I blame the bifocals, but they're new. 20 minutes in, almost, well, no action whatsoever to speak of. We've had 2 shots, 2 on target, but no highlights. Come on, boys. Prost from outside the box. Adriani, a nice block. Brigado. Sends it up to Frank, but Mendez is going to step in front of it. It goes right to Sasha. Back up to Frank. Over to Knezevic. To Parent. Over to Frank. Back up to Knezevic. To Polo. He holds it up. Back over to Ante. To Sotovia. Brings the ball up. Back to Knezevic. Up to Polo, who's in the center. He tried taking a shot. Don't know why. Oh, that was a nice curling shot, but it was too high. Twatty just got injured for Strasbourg. He's coming back. Looks like just a knock. Queensy Menig. Queensy. That's an unfortunate first name for a guy. Prost, forgive from outside the box. Adriani, another brilliant block. Mendez, stuffed in front of the box. Brigado out to Polo. Sends it up. Larson intercepts the pass. What's the end of the highlight? Florian has been absolutely on it this game. Although, to be fair, he's been absolutely on it all season. We wouldn't be where we are if it weren't for him in goal. He did miss 4 games. Well, he was out for 4 games. He missed 3 with injury, and then I played him in a reserve match to bring back up to snuff. At least I think I did. I can't remember. I just remember. I'm been grinding through this save all day, to be honest with you. This is my 7th episode that I've recorded today. I don't know. I'll check here in a minute. But we're going to the half, 0-0, of course. 7 shots, 5 on target. They're 5-2. Claremont and Amiens are still tied. Okay, this is the 5th episode I've recorded today, but it feels like a lot more. It's been a heck of a long season. Kickoff highlight, Knezovic to Sotavia, back to Mabaye, and it ends. Probably didn't want to show us the pass back to Adriani. Larson in the box, it's dangerous. Briancon back to Bazamble, sends it up, knocked down by Mabaye. Parent has it, sends it over to Polo. He centers it to Knezovic, top of the box, takes the shot, curls it in. That was an interesting shot. It didn't look like it left the ground. It looked like it just kind of rolled in, but curled while it was on the ground. Let's take a look at it in the 3D here. Polo drives forward, centers it to Knezovic, cuts left. Yeah, it was low. He bounced it off and in the net past a diving keeper. It was maybe not well struck, but well played for sure. If you told me that 4 promotions in 5 years was possible, I would have agreed. If you told me it was probable, I would have said no. We have had a little help, to be honest. The season in the National 2 with the rule that all the League 1B teams don't get promoted. They have to stay there helped us because that means we didn't have to finish in first place. I don't know. I think we may have been promoted too fast. And I'll talk about that more here at the end of the season. We're going to get the guys with the yellow cards off. Noah's going to come on for Sasha. Callens is on the bench because I forgot to take him off, so that means Bragado's going to have to stay on. Because I don't think... No, Almeida can. Mabaye can. But you know what? Almeida kind of sort of can. He's a wingback on defend. And we'll bring on Joaquin Medina to take Bragado's place. We got a good young squad. And I had my 5th Golden Generation intake. And I don't know that I'd go out of my way to call it a Golden Generation because there was only one 5-star potential player on there. And his determination was at 2. And some of the other stats I look at for my team's DNA were also in the red, which for me is anything 5 and below. So a lot of solid 3 and 4-star players, though, for League 2, which means they're probably 2 and 3-star players for League 1. I think next season is going to be grim death, and I'm wondering if the way to go isn't to bring in some older players with Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A type experience to help us stay up. I did that in my FM19 today with Enfield, and I think that helped us. Tried passing it up into space, but Frank couldn't get there fast enough. Rippart has it now for Strasbourg. Out to Gaspar. He's being shadowed, holds it up, crosses it in. Menig's there. That's the guy I made fun of his name, and he repays me back by getting his first goal of the season, no less. Well done, him. And I haven't checked the Amiens score because I've been too busy talking. It was a nice cross, though. Chest it down. Oh, avoids the slide tackle and just beat Adriani. That's another thing. Florian's been with me since the National 3 days. Claremont and Amiens are also in a draw, so at this point we're going to beat Amiens. He's 2.5 star. He's stars now. He's got potential, but he hasn't really moved off those 2.5 stars. And I'm wondering how well he'll do in League 1 against some of the guys there. Well, there's so many decisions. Gaspar crosses it in, knocked away by Mabaye. Polo's going to run it down. Brings it up the field. He's got help on the right. Now it goes to the center with Sotavia, who holds the play up back to Knezovic in the center. Over to Frank. Passes it kind of towards Knezovic. He runs down to get it. Polo! What the heck was that, guy? Come on. Claremont and Amiens are still a draw. We're getting close to the end of our game here. Almeida from distance. Nope, too high. Coming up on the end of the game, I'm only peripherally watching that because I want to see if either Claremont or Amiens get a late goal. And that is the game. And we win League 1, and I know this because this is supposed to be the celebration, but I have it turned off. We win League 2 on the final day, no less. Reims and Metz have guaranteed themselves a spot in the playoffs. The fans are ecstatic. The board's ecstatic. We were the talk of the coup de Ligue. Frank had 4 goals in that. He led all scorers. Absolutely delighted. We had some luck. Magnificent achievement. They mentioned Florian in the press conference, but I clicked through it. Oh, they expanded everything. This is a result of getting promoted to League One. We're getting more coaches and more scouts, which is helpful. So this is what I'm talking about with Florian. He's 2.5-star currently, 3-star ability, and that's for League 2. And I think he'd be a capable backup keeper in League 1. His contract expires, though. And the additional problem is, as my dog goes chasing after a squirrel, he's a team leader with a lot of influence. Now, Frank's going to be here. Almeida's going to be here. If I lose Adriani, can I give it to Frank? Teamwork and leadership. Not really. He wouldn't be my first choice. Could I give it to Almeida? Teamwork and leadership. Yeah, I could. He's not a start. Well, he'd be an okay starter, I think. I'm gonna have to look up how to say hanging on with grim death. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Something about hanging on grim death. It's late. I'm exhausted mentally. The neighbors brought their kids back. The neighbors' kids came back and brought their chihuahua. So, of course, George is absolutely head over paws in love with her, even though he outweighs her by about 100 pounds. The season's not wrapped up, but we'll come back for that here in just a minute. We'll get to the end, see who gets promoted, see who comes down. 17 wins, 17 draws, 4 losses. 2 to SCFM, 1 to Lorient, 1 to Strasbourg. There were our bogey teams this year, that's for sure. Beat Amiens by 2 points. So we're going to call this here for just a bit, come back and see who gets promoted, and wrap up the season, I think. Well, this is moderately disturbing. Let me show you what's going on here. Let me increase the size of this real quick. Yeah, that'll work for the most part, because all I'm blocking then is just the age. This is the team as they improved from January of 23 to May of 23. Had a couple of players fall down in the red in bravery, and I'm not quite sure why. Some incremental improvements across the board. Kyoto Kalu is a 21-year-old winger who's been on loan forever and a day since I brought him in, but he has definitely improved. Joyce has improved, all things considered. He's 35 now, 34. That's not the worrying thing. This is the team from May of 22 to May of 23. And I can tell, just by looking at this, where I screwed up this season. And you can see Joyce fell, then he gained, and then he went down, especially in his physicals. Where I screwed up this season was in these areas, right here. These are the technical skills. I spent a lot of the training time this year, personal training time, working on physical skills and mental skills. And you can see the improvement across the board for the vast majority of the players there. And those that didn't improve are those who were reasonably close to topping out in those areas. What I ignored were the technical skills. And if you look at the players from, probably here on down, from the 17-year-olds on down who were getting the most amount of playing time, they all fell in one area or another. Well, let me rephrase that. The vast majority of them fell in one area or another by one, which means I neglected their technical training. Farkas is out on loan, but someone like Diallo, who's a borderline League One player as it is, Brigado, for as much playing time as he got, he was my starting wingback on the left side this entire season, and yet he still went down 1 in dribbling, went down 1 in first touch, went down 1 in heading, went down 1 in penalty taking. Some of those could be quibbling, but he's an attacking wingback. Dribbling, first touch, and heading are a little bit necessary. But Diallo is worrying. Karbache is a little bit worrying. Knezovic went down in his corners and his dribbling. and his penalty kick taking. His dribbling fell. He's my attacking midfielder in the center. That's not good. To pay more attention to that this year. But the fact that a lot of the youngsters improved in almost all their physicals. Look at someone like Ange McKelly, who improved in all the physicals by at least one, if not two or more. That's just... Sofiane Burst-Bell went down 2 in stamina, and that's because of the broken leg. That's troubling. I should have caught that earlier. But that's actually kind of the problem, because when you look at it, here's August compared to... I actually got to go back a tab to June of 21. And here's January to August, so you're not seeing any changes there. Then here's May to January, so you're not seeing any changes there. Yet here you're seeing changes. So why is that? So let's take a look at someone like Frank Diallo. And we'll have to go back to the attribute analysis and go here and paste that in. But we're going to have to change this from... you know what? This is going to be... We're going to have to delete these out real quick. I'll be right back. And this is what we're looking at. Let me scroll down a little bit more. Maybe get rid of some of the glare. That's worrying. Because he improved in his dribbling, but he went down again. His corners and crossings have stayed consistent, but they went down because I wasn't focusing on those. Which is an idiotic move on my part because he's my primary corner kick taker. His heading went down. I'm not too chuffed about that. His long throws, not his long throws, but his long shots and his long throws went down. Okay, the bravery went down, but it went up, so it's back to where it started. The concentration went down. The decision making went down. His determination started at 13, then it went down, then it went down again, it went back up. That's because of the group he's in. His acceleration improved, and it's gotten a little worse. His stamina's gotten worse. His strength has gotten worse. The corner crossing and dribbling is... I may have to do more year to year. You know what? I'm going to end up having to use this part of the spreadsheet a lot more when making player comparisons. It's just the way it's going to be. That was stupid on my part. So, you know what? I'm going to go till the end of the season. We'll see who goes up with us. We'll see who's coming down from League One. And then we'll do a end of the year review with some of the players in that. This episode might run a little long, but that's entirely on me. So we'll be back in a few. Well, this is also a good bit of news. The reserve team was promoted out of the National 3 up into the National 2. Now, they can't get promoted out of the National 2. I don't believe they can. But this is good for us. It means my reserve team, which is mostly my youth players now because my youth team is still wandering in the woods without a league because of the relegation they suffered last year to a league that I don't have loaded. They'll be playing some quality players. They're going up to the French National 2, which, if I had to guess, they're going to be in the same one we were, which was, let me go back to the schedule here real quick. It should be the National 2A, which has some very good reserves teams in it. The Monaco reserves, OGC Nice reserves, OM reserves are there. It'll be a good spot for them. Players inducted into the overall best 11, Safwan Mabaye and Emmanuel Brigado were elected. End of season awards. Sasha, Fans Player of the Season. That's interesting. He's ahead of Diallo and Bernardi. I would have thought it'd been Frank, but this was Sasha's season. He's turned into a very good defensive right back. 3-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. The one big knock on him that I have is the fact he really hates important matches. Started 30 games, no goals, 3 assists, 7.13 rating, 2 starts in the French Cup with 3 assists, 5 starts in the Coup de League with a 7.3 rating, played 1 game in the National 3 as part of the reserves. He was, I guess, it was one of those quietly competent, solid seasons. Good for him. Andres Sotovia was the signing of the season. Sasha, Young Player of the Season. His goal Not his goal. Andre's goal was the goal of the season. Let's watch this. Against Saint Etienne. This was in the French Cup match. It wasn't Polo's goal, the one that was the cross that just kind of trickled in. Brigado sends it in. Samaro knocks it out. Parent taps over Diallo. Sends it up to Sotovia. And he's at least 30 yards from the box. I mean, that's 22 yards right there, right? 22? One point in time, I thought it was 20. I'm reasonably sure it's 22 now, and he's a good 8 yards beyond that, so definitely worth it. Season review. Exceeded all expectations. I take that back. We were supposed to get to the 10th round of the French Cup, but we lost to Saint Etienne, and that was a heartbreaker of a loss. It really was. We won League 2, which exceeded expectations, seeing as how we were picked to finish 16th. I had to go back and check. Stadium crowds were very nice. Over 7,300 average, 42% full stadium. Total players used 34, joint third highest in the league. Lost in the Kuta League semifinal to Olympique Lyon. Stade Malher Khan ended up... Well, wait a minute. Let me take that back. Who won the Kuta League this year? Nantes won the Kuta League. Stade Malher Khan won the French Cup. Dynamics-wise, this is going to change. Adriani has re-signed with us. He actually asked for a backup contract, and I'm more than happy to keep him as a backup contract. It means we're going to need a new keeper going into next season. A better keeper than Florian. I'm okay starting him for a few games, but I don't know that I can rely on him. We're going to be in a relegation fight in League 1. There's no sugarcoating that. And actually, end-of-season team meeting, I'm going to go with this one. I'm absolutely delighted with promotion this season. You've all done really well, but I'm going to have to strengthen the squad over the offseason if we're to avoid relegation. Okay, everybody was not a fan of that, and I'm reasonably sure all those down arrows this time are correct. Confidence review, they absolutely love me, and they should. Season injury report. Sofiane Burst-Bell out 4 months with a broken leg. Sonny Jean, who is a youth winger, was also out for 3 months with a broken leg. Carbache sprained knee ligaments. Delatre is a youth player. So is Zawai and Madai. Almeida and Farkas 2 weeks, 4 weeks. Yeah, Sofiane Burst-Bell was the largest one. Preseason date. We're going to start early. And a lot of people have to train. Final reminder to vote. I voted for everybody who were lower than me. In good news, World Cup. It was World Cup year. That's why we got the early start. Competition. France beat Germany. There's a historical joke in there that I'm completely staying away from. But back-to-back World Cup winners. This was the squad. And it's a really good squad. Lafont in goal, Pavard, Varane, Umtiti, and Digne? I can't pronounce that. As the defenders, Ndombele and Pogba as the midfielders, Mbappe, Fekir, Lamar, and Goebbels, who is a very good youth striker. I had him in my Palace save. And he is quite the player. I don't know who he plays for right now. Monaco. Of course he does. Conte on the bench. Griezmann on the bench. Dembele on the bench. Laporte couldn't even make the starting team, but that's okay. It was a very, very good run for the French. And it didn't really help that Alzenauer got double yellowed off in the 28th minute. And it took an 87th minute goal by Ndombele for France to win. But you know what? Back-to-back World Cup winners. Where did England end up? Spain beat Mali for third place. Wow, Mali had a brilliant run there. You know what? We'll go to the beginning. And that took a little bit of doing. That was a pain to navigate to get back to here. Ukraine and Holland qualified. Croatia and Argentina qualified. Germany and Nigeria qualified. And for some reason, okay, there we go. Spain and South Korea qualified. Mali and Belgium qualified. Mali, undefeated. 3 wins, 3 played. Well done, Mali. Who do they have on their squad? Some of those names look familiar, but Adama Traore is the only one I really recognize. Mexico and Japan, France and Austria, Brazil and Poland. England didn't make the World Cup in 2022. Did I just not see that? Qatar made the World Cup in 2022. How did England not make the World Cup? Then again, the U.S. didn't make it either, so that's not a surprise, though. Portugal lost out to Mexico and Japan. You know what? I just have to look. Sean Dyche is now the coach. That's interesting. Garrett Southgate was sacked in 2021, probably because they did not make it. Let's see here. World Cup qualifiers, Group 3. Okay, Group 3. Group 3 was 10 games. They lost to Latvia. They drew with Albania. They lost to Albania. And they lost to Greece. They finished third. Greece qualified. Albania qualified ahead of England. No wonder Southgate got sacked. For those interested, Andy Tannoy was not part of the Albanian national team. Wow. Okay, I got to remember where I was before I got sidetracked. Back in a bit. Well, I think we're finally coming up to some of the end of the year stuff. Bastia players named in League 2 Stars Team of the Competition. Adriani in goal. Sasha is the defensive right back. Brigado is the defensive left back. Sodavia is the defensive midfielder. Bernardi is one of the midfielders. And Frank up top as the striker. That is 6 players well represented. That's more than half the team. Albert, who is the really young midfielder at Nancy, won the Best Player of the Year. He scored 17 goals, which was one more than Frank, and he also had more assists than Frank did. Strezos, who was the Amiens keeper, won Keeper of the Year. I won Head Coach of the Season. My 44% win ratio. I'm going to hit the commercial summary here in a second. We got 668,000 euros for winning League 2. Our new scouting budget is 114,000. In the continent, in Ivory Coast, and Senegal. I'm going to see if I can't get them to go at least to Africa, because that's the nice thing about France. Let me pull that up here real quick. I think it's the same here in League 1 as it is in League 2. These are the nations treated as European Union nations. So you got a bunch in France that count, and then if you go to League 1, all European Union nations, all European Free Trade Association nations, all nations in Oceania excluding New Zealand, Kyrgyzstan, all African, Caribbean, and Pacific group states are counted as EU players. So what I found, at least when I was playing in FM19 with USL Dunkirk, was you could go into Africa and find some very, very good players and get them for a good price, and they wouldn't count against your registration. And that's what I'm going to try and do here. In other news, Stade Cezanne barely squeaks by the recommended stadium capacity. So, honestly, I think I'm going to have to wait till we are, quote-unquote, officially in League 1, which means we have to wait for the season to officially end before I can go in and request a scouting change. Because I tried 2 weeks ago, and they said, no, it's fine. In other news, which I thought was purely funnier than heck, I told Frank at the midpoint of the season, he came to me and said, hey, I want a new contract. I said, yeah, we'll discuss it at the end of the season. He's currently on a rotation contract, paying him £675 a week. He wanted a hot prospect contract that was paying him like 4,500 euros a week, 4,500 euros. Yeah. And I was like, no. And it wasn't just the 4,500 euros a week. It was an appearance fee of like 1,000 euros, a goal bonus of 750 euros, an unused substitute fee of 600 euros. I tried negotiating him down. I took him off a hot prospect contract and put him on a rotation contract because as much as I like him, and I keep clicking the wrong thing there, he's 3-star current, 4-star potential, and he's got some weaknesses, and his technicals are falling. And they're falling just enough to be recognized. I really freaked out when I saw this originally. I couldn't figure out what was going on, but if you go and you look at the attribute changes things, they're just tailing off from where they were, and because of how the rounding in Football Manager works, so it was like out of 14, well now it's 13.8, and FM rounds down more often than not. And I did it again. So that's what's going on there. And I got a note saying, he's really upset. He wants to know what you want to do about it. And one of the options was, I offered you a contract. You refused it. That's not my fault. And he was like, yeah, okay. You're right. I skipped this earlier. This was our commercial summary. We've got a New Jersey deal worth 750,000 euros, which is double what our previous jersey deal was. All our other income was up, and a lot of that was due to being in League 2. Our sponsorship was up, our broadcast revenues were up. The vast majority of that was the League 2 revenues. Competition prize money was up because we went further this year, even though we went further this year in the Coup de la Ligue. And getting to the ninth round of the French Cup is no I want to say no slouch, but that doesn't make sense. It was getting to the ninth round is an accomplishment. Corporate and hospitality went up. Match day and commercial sales went up as well. Frank, Bernade, Sasha, Tell, and Diallo were the jersey sellers. The Tell one's interesting because he came in the January transfer window. Well, that's not bad. Okay, so it's finally over. Us, Amiens, and Lorient are going up from League 2 to League 1. Season starts August 12th. Châteauroux and Rodez Veyron are relegated. Pow, barely escaped. Player review, and we'll go through this fairly quickly because I know this is getting to be kind of long. We're going to sort by... Well, if we sort by appearances, Florian led the way. He did miss a few games. He's been the bedrock of the club since the save started and I brought him in. Goal-wise, Frank led the way with 22, had 3 assists, 5 players of the match. Knezovic, a solid season for him, 7 goals, 5 assists, 4 players of the match. Diallo, 6 goals, 9 assists. Jean-Marc Parent, 5 goals, 1 assist, 3 players of the match. Gao, our lone winger, was a solid season for him, 5 goals, 1 assist, 1 player of the match. A lot of these players, like Medina and DeMarco and Pardini, a lot of their stats are from their reserve time. So if I take them out, they all got first team playing time too. So that's going to crop in. Sasha, 6 assists, no goals though, no players of the match, but still fan player of the season. Well done him. Rating wise, Sasha 7.20 for the season. Bernade 7.08. He had a solid season, 8 goals, 3 assists, 2 players of the match. Soldevilla, 2 goals and assist, player of the match. The defensive midfielder. I realize I'm jumping around here. If I just go by positions, Mabai had a solid season at 6.98, 36 goals, jeez. 36 appearances, 1 goal, 1 player of the match. Almeida, solid season, 3 goals and 2 assists. Parent, 5 goals and assists, 3 players of the match. I'm fairly sure I said that. Polo, 4 goals, 5 assists, 1 player of the match, a 6.85 rating for a guy who was everywhere. Knezovic, 7 goals. I already said him. So this is what we're looking at now. So from Vincent Gao up are players who are not going to be back. And that is, I got to do math in my head here real quick. That's about 9,000 euros in salary. And that's probably going to be one player that we can bring in. The plan, and we all know how well my plans work out. Frank, the center of the field and the defenders aren't going to change. I'm going to bring in some backups to get a nice rotation going in a couple positions. Almeida and Mabai are going to be needed to rotate it in and out a little bit more, I think, if I want to keep the match fit. Arnon who is my young defensive right back I am retraining as Armand, right here, is being retrained as a attacker on the right. We're pulling a reverse Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he will do really, really well there, especially if I pay attention to the technicals and stuff like that need to be paid to during the individual training. Yeah, he'll get beat, but it'll be invaluable experience. I'll probably bring in, Tell can play there as well, but I'd like to bring in someone a bit older and more experienced as part of a rotation as well. Diallo is here for another year, although I may move him on if I get the right price for him. Frank's going to be our striker up top. Tell is also there. I'd like to bring in a third guy for depth as well, maybe a youngster with potential, because Frank is a borderline League 2, League 1 player. I think he'll do okay in League 1, but I don't think that he's a star in League 1. I've got a lot of youngsters that I'd like to get some playing time, and frankly, if it gets to the point where it looks like relegation is a given no matter what we do, then I'll start playing a bunch of the youngsters and get them some more playing time. So, the nice thing is, Brigado can still improve. Sasha can still improve. No can definitely improve. Leroy can improve. He's a capable backup to Brigado. Maybe not at the League 1 level, but if he gets some playing time every now and then. I am going to abuse the heck out of my reserve team and my 2 affiliates. I'm going to need to bring in a first-team keeper. Adriani signed a backup contract, which means I'm not going to be able to keep him as captain. The offseason is going to be interesting, that is for sure. The transfer window's open. We've got some work ahead of us. The budget's not the best. $10.7 million. We got $20,000 in payroll remaining. Another $9,000 that's coming off. But I got 4 more coaches, 3 more scouts, a data analyst to hire. It's going to be a busy, busy offseason. But it should be productive. We're going to do our best to strengthen the team enough that we're going to be in a relegation fight. I have no doubts about that. And there's a good possibility we could get relegated. But I think as long as we get everybody playing time, they all improve. I can bring in some quality players at a decent price that can help us stay up. I will count that as a success. And in fact, this whole season has been a success. I wasn't planning on getting promoted. I was aiming for upper table finish, maybe promotion playoffs. But finishing first in League 2, especially after all those draws, that's phenomenal. We had a really good season. A lot of good people helping us along the way. So, when we meet again, it's going to be a roundup of the summer transfer window, a recap of the friendlies. Maybe the first couple games I'll get out of the way in League 1. We'll have to see. Chances are it's probably just going to be a summer transfer window roundup. But we'll have to tune in to find out. If you liked what you've seen and heard, please subscribe to the channel for more content. Questions, criticisms, comments, leave those down below. I'll answer them as fast as I can. My name is FM Jellico, and I thank you for watching the Return out Gloria with SC Bastia, Episode 4.